one resolution on your behalf.
Thank you, Councilwoman.
An ordinance amending Chapter 9, 3300 of the Philadelphia Code entitled Erection, Use, and Inspection of Tower Cranes by adding requirements regulating the use and inspection of mobile cranes.
That will be referred to the appropriate committee.
And a privilege resolution honoring, recognizing, and celebrating the 59th anniversary of Community College of Philadelphia.
And that will be on this week's final passage calendar. Chair recognizes Councilman O'Brien.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have no bills or resolutions today.
Thank you, Councilman. Chair recognizes Councilman Good.
Thank you, Mr. President. I offer no bills or resolutions today.
Thank you, Councilman. Chair recognizes Councilwoman Reynolds Brown.
Good morning, Mr. President.
Morning.
We have no bills or resolutions this morning.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Chair recognizes Councilman Jones.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have one bill, one resolution.
Thank you, Councilman.
An ordinance establishing a no parking regulation on Delmar Street between Mansion Street and a point 230 feet east thereof, both sides.
And refer to committee.
And a non-privileged resolution naming the newly renovated boxing gym at Kendrick Recreation Center the Harold Johnson Memorial Boxing Gym.
And that will be on this week's final pass calendar. Just a name. Chair recognizes Councilman O'Neill.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'll for one bill.
Thank you, Councilman.
An ordinance authorizing the vacating of Byberry Road, not on city plan, from the terminus of Byberry Road as platted on the city plan, approximately 1,196 feet eastwardly, southwardly, and southeastwardly from Woodhaven Road to the city of Philadelphia, Bucks County line.
That bill will be referred to the appropriate committee, and the chair recognizes Councilman Squilla.
Thank you, Mr. President. I offer one bill on your behalf and two non-privileged resolutions.
Thank you, Councilman.
An ordinance authorizing the Southeastern Pennsylvania Transportation Authority to construct, own, and maintain digital outdoor advertising signs encroaching on the public right-of-way at various subway, elevated train, and rail entrances in the city.
That bill will be referred to the appropriate committee.
And a non-privileged resolution authorizing the Commissioner of Public Property to execute and deliver to the Philadelphia Redevelopment Authority without consideration deeds conveying conditional fees simple title to city on lots or pieces of ground with the buildings and improvements thereon situated in the 31st Ward of the City of Philadelphia.
Next week's final passage calendar.
And a non-privileged resolution also naming South 12th Street between Walnut and Locust Streets as Gloria Cesarez Way.
And that will be on next week's final passage calendar. Chair recognizes Councilwoman Bass.
Thank you, Mr. President. I offer one non-privileged resolution.
Thank you, Councilwoman.
Thank you.
A non-privileged resolution denouncing the demeaning, misogynistic, racist, and homophobic emails sent on state-owned computers by prosecutors currently employed by Philadelphia DA's office, urging the district attorney to terminate their employment and calling on the Pennsylvania Attorney General's office to appoint an independent special prosecutor to investigate the three former state prosecutors so as to restore public confidence in our law enforcement entities.
And that will be on next week's final passage calendar. Chair recognizes Councilman O.
Thank you very much. I offer three privileged resolutions, one co-sponsored by Councilman Curtis Jones, and one non-privileged resolution.
Thank you, Councilman.
A privilege resolution designating August 17th as First Responder Appreciation Day in Philadelphia into perpetuity.
This week's final passage calendar.
And a privilege resolution recognizing and commemorating December 5, 2015 as WordPress Day in Philadelphia.
This week's final passage calendar.
And a privilege resolution recognizing and congratulating Kazumi Teun for her dedication and contributions to strengthening the Japanese-American community in Philadelphia as Executive Director of the Japan-America Society of Greater Philadelphia for more than 15 years.
Also this week's final passage calendar.
And a non-privileged resolution urging the United States Congress to investigate the involuntary discharge of SFC Charles Martland from the United States Army and urging that he be retained in the military.
And that will be on next week's final passage calendar. That concludes our introduction of bills and resolutions. The next order of business is reports from committee, and the chair recognizes Councilman Greenlee for a report on the Committee on Rules.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Committee on Rules reports 9 bills with a favorable recommendation.
Thank you. Mr. Decker, please read that report.
To the President and members of the Council of the City of Philadelphia, the Committee on Rules, to which is referred Bill Number 150643, entitled An Ordinance Amending Chapter 14300 of the Philadelphia Code, entitled Administration and Procedures, to provide for permit holders to give community members notice in connection with as-of-right permits. And Bill Number 150705, entitled An Ordinance to Amend the Philadelphia Zoning Maps by changing the zoning designations of certain areas of land located within an area bounded by Ludlow Street, Farragut Street, 46th Street, Haverford Avenue, and 40th Street. And Bill Number 150721, entitled An Ordinance to Amend the Philadelphia Zoning Maps by changing the zoning designations of certain areas of land located within an area bounded by Hermitage Street, Launton Street, Green Lane, Jeanette Street, Monastery Avenue, Houghton Street, Walnut Lane, Shores Lane, Merrick Street, Pennsdale Street, and Mitchell Street. And an ordinance, and Bill Number 150722, entitled An Ordinance Amending Section 14500 of the Philadelphia Code, entitled Overlay Zoning Districts, by amending the subsection entitled NCA Ridge Avenue Neighborhood Commercial Area Overlay. And Bill Number 150744, entitled An Ordinance to Amend the Philadelphia Zoning Maps by changing the zoning designations of certain areas of land located within an area bounded by 10th Street, Packer Avenue, Darien Street, and Hartcraft Street. And Bill Number 150745, entitled An Ordinance Amending Title 14 of the Philadelphia Code, entitled Zoning and Planning, by providing special density rules for buildings with a green roof. And Bill Number 150747, entitled An Ordinance Repealing an Ordinance, Bill Number 150473, entitled An Ordinance to Amend the Philadelphia Zoning Maps by changing the zoning designations of certain areas of land located within an area bounded by Green Street, 2nd Street, Spring Garden Street, and 3rd Street. And Bill Number 150766, entitled An Ordinance to Amend Title 14 of the Philadelphia Code, entitled Zoning and Planning, by removing certain expired provisions and revising certain provisions, including definitions, administration, overlay zoning districts, use regulations, development standards, parking and loading, and signs. And Bill Number 150767, entitled An Ordinance Amending Title 14 of the Philadelphia Code, entitled Zoning and Planning, by revising requirements in Section 14405, entitled SP Entertainment Special Purpose District. Respectfully reports it has considered and amended the same and returns the attached bills to Council with a favorable recommendation.
Thank you, Mr. Decker. Chair again recognizes Councilman Greenlee.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the rules of council be suspended so as to permit first reading this day of the 9 bills that were just read into the record.
Thank you. It has been moved and properly seconded that the rules of council be suspended so as to permit first reading this day of bills number 150643, 150705, 150721, 150722, 150744, 150745, 150747, 150766, and 150767. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, ayes have it. Those bills will be placed on our first reading calendar today. Chair now recognizes Councilwoman Tasco for a report from the Committee on Finance.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Committee on Finance reports 2 bills with a favorable recommendation.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Mr. Decker, please read that report.
The Committee on Finance, to which is referred Bill Number 150812, entitled An Ordinance constituting the 18th Supplemental Ordinance to the restated General Water and Wastewater Revenue Bond Ordinance of 1989 as supplemented, authorizing the Bond Committee to issue and sell one or more series or subseries of tax-exempt or taxable water and wastewater revenue bonds and revenue refunding bonds. And Bill Number 150813, entitled An Ordinance constituting the 19th Supplemental Ordinance to the restated General Water and Wastewater Revenue Bond Ordinance of 1989 as supplemented, authorizing the Bond Committee to issue and sell either at public or private sale water and wastewater revenue bonds. Respectfully reports it has considered the same and returns the attached bills to Council with a favorable recommendation.
Thank you, Mr. Decker. Chair again recognizes Councilwoman Tasco.
I move that the rules of council be suspended so as to permit first reading this day of bills numbers 150812 and 150813.
Thank you. It has been moved and properly seconded that the rules of council be suspended so as to permit first reading this day of bills number 150812 and 150813. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, ayes have it, and these bills will also be placed on our first reading calendar today. Chair now recognizes Councilwoman Kiona Sanchez for a report from the Committee on License and Inspection.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Committee on License and Inspection reports 4 bills with a favorable recommendation.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Mr. Decker, please read the report.
The Committee on Licenses and Inspections, to which is referred Bill Number 150650, entitled An Ordinance Amending Title IV of the Philadelphia Building Construction and Occupancy Code by amending Subcode PM, the Philadelphia Property Maintenance Code, by adding a section requiring vacant property owners to allow access for city inspections upon reasonable notice. And Bill Number 150651, entitled An Ordinance Amending Title IV of the Philadelphia Building Construction and Occupancy Code of the Philadelphia Code by amending Subcode P, the Philadelphia Plumbing Code, by adding new requirements for food waste grinders in some new residential construction. And Bill Number 150719, entitled An Ordinance Amending Title IV of the Philadelphia Code, Subcode PM, the Philadelphia Property Maintenance Code, by providing for definitions and amending requirements applicable to foreclosed residential premises. And Bill Number 150769, entitled An Ordinance Amending Chapter 9, 2200 of the Philadelphia Code, entitled Expediters, by revising the rules, obligations, and procedures pertaining to expediter licenses, all under certain terms and conditions. Respectfully reports it is considered the same and returns the attached bills to council with a favorable recommendation.
Thank you, Mr. Decker. The chair again recognizes Councilwoman Kiona Sanchez.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the rules of council be suspended as to permit first reading to this day for bills numbers 150650, 150651, 150719, and 150769.
Thank you. It has been moved and properly seconded that the rules of council be suspended so as to permit first reading this day of bills number 150650, 150651, 150719, and 150769. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, ayes have it. These bills will be placed on our first reading calendar today. The chair now recognizes Councilman Jones for a report from the Committee of Public Safety.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Committee on Public Safety reports 1 bill with a favorable recommendation.
Thank you. Mr. Decker, please read that report.
The Committee on Public Safety, to which is referred Bill Number 150659, entitled An Ordinance Amending Subsection 10308 of the Philadelphia Code, entitled Solicitations of Contributions in the Roadway by Minors, by enhancing enforcement procedures and penalty requirements, all under certain terms and conditions. Respectfully reports it as considered and amended the same, and returns the attached bill to council with a favorable recommendation.
Thank you, Mr. Decker. The chair again recognizes Councilman Jones.
Yes, sir. I move that the rules of council be suspended so as to permit first reading this day of bill number 150659.
Thank you. It has been moved and properly seconded that the rules of council be suspended so as to permit first reading this day of bills number 150659. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, ayes have it, and this bill will be placed on our first reading calendar today. And that concludes the reports on committee. The next order of business is the consideration of the calendar. I note that those bills just reported up from committee with the suspension of the rules have been deemed to have had a first reading. These bills will be placed on our second reading and final passage calendar at our next session of council. As there are no additional bills on our first reading calendar today, the chair recognizes Councilman Jones for the purpose of calling up bills and resolutions on the final passage calendar today.
Mr. President, the following resolutions and bills are being called up from second reading and final passage calendars today. Number 150866, 150867, 150869, 150874, 150877, 140607AA, 150502A, 150348, 150573, 150653, 150790, and 150720. All other resolutions and bills are being held.
Thank you, Councilman. Before considering these resolutions and bills on the final passage calendar, we will have our public session comment. The public comment session will go as follows. If you are interested in testifying on a bill or resolution that is on the final passage calendar, if you have not already done so, you may sign up at the table to my left. When your name is called, you will go to the podium in the middle of the council chambers. There's a device on there. When that light turns green, it will be your time to speak. When the light turns yellow, you will have 30 seconds to conclude your remarks. When the light turns red, we would ask that you please adhere to the guidelines and conclude your remarks. You will be given 3 minutes to testify. Mr. Decker, please call the name of the first witness.
Michael Robinson, commenting on 150573.
Morning.
My name is Michael Robertson. I'm in the Mayor's Commission on African American Males. Hello, everybody. My name is Michael Robertson, and I'm here to comment on the bill for the Mayor's Commission on African American Males. I strongly urge Council to continue this commission. I do so because African American males are a unique entity. Every black man in this room understands their unique entity. You may have been successful in this system, but nonetheless, we all face challenges. I could bore you with a lot of statistics. Like I'll just give you one statistic, because if I named all of them, I'll be here talking for forever. Black males can make up 5% of the African American male population in this country. Yet we make up 25% of the prisoners of the world. Not of America, but of the world. We are unique. We've all experienced being different, being singled out. But I think the one thing, and I'll refer to something that I witnessed like a couple of weeks ago. This was, Mayor Ramsey, Police Commissioner Ramsey being asked a question about, having more diversity to the police department and having more African American males on the police department. Now, he began by addressing this issue, specifically talking about African American males, but then all of a sudden, he went on to start talking about diversity and adding, more gays, more this and more that. And we have to understand that African American males are not included in that diversity umbrella, because what we usually do, we want to include everybody. So what do? You hire a double minority, and then the next thing you know, it's black and woman, black and gay, black and whatever. We're not included. And I think that really needs to be understood. We are not included in this diversity umbrella. We are indeed unique. Some of the things the Mayor's Commission on African American Males has been doing is we've established Rebuilding the Village, which takes place in West Philadelphia in Strawberry Mansion, and in Southwest Philadelphia. And that's for black males to discuss their issues, for us to destigmatize mental health, to get black males to seek counseling and things like that. And we also have proposed more inclusion with colleges and universities as far as hiring and including black males in that process. So thank you for hearing me.
Thank you very much for your testimony, sir.
Joseph Denatel, commenting on 150866.
Morning.
It's me again. I quote George Mason, delegate to the Constitutional Convention in Philadelphia, "Can anybody be above the law?" Truer words were never spoke by a founding father in the sacred cradle of liberty. He and other founding fathers were concerned about potential abuse of power in the government that so many had sacrificed so much to get. So they passed laws. 42 U.S.C. 1982, all citizens of the United States have the right in every state and territory to inherit and purchase, lease, sell, hold, convey real and personal property. 42 U.S.C. 1983, every person who, under color of any statute, ordinance, regulation, custom, causes or causes to be subjected to any citizen of the United States thereof a deprivation of rights or privileges, immunities secured by the Constitution and the laws shall be liable to the party injured in an action at all. 7/2400 New York Times article. I've had nothing but trouble for years trying to get my money. Logan resident Ms. Williamson. 12/9/10 article PN. An injustice is an injustice no matter who you are, said Dr. Turner, Logan resident. Mayor Good did not provide the same deal to Dr. Turner as he provided the other residents. 2/13/04 Philadelphia Tribune. When tax-hungry public officials in Pennsylvania team up with land-hungry private developers, innocent home and business owners standing in the way are likely to get mugged City Hall style. Landowners once trusted the government to respect the Constitution. City Paper, January 8, 2015. Civil forfeiture cases are filed at an incredible rate and volume, possibly the greatest of any big city here in Philadelphia. Apparatus routinely violates the constitutional rights of due process. The Philadelphia Redevelopment Authority and its board stripped me of my 42 U.S.C. 1982 property rights and submitted court papers to deny my right to the Seventh Amendment jury trial, since you as agents and agencies expressly designed to serve require transparency and trust of the people to govern. These above extraordinary, willful, and outrageous actions indicate this apparent rogue agency requires defunding. It is your duty to stop this agency, or else it would appear that you agree with its actions. And this gentleman has a copy of the speech so that you can refer to it if you need to, and my number is on it, and I still haven't received
Thank you very much.
communication from last time.
Thank you, sir, for your testimony.
Robert Ballinger, commenting on 140607.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you, Mr. Council President, members of City Council. My name is Robert Ballinger. I'm an attorney in the Energy Unit at Community Legal Services. I'm here to express my sincere support and heartfelt gratitude to Councilwoman Sanchez and her staff for getting us to the point where Bill 140607 is up for final passage here today. This is tremendously important legislation. It would establish for the first time in the City of Philadelphia income-based water rate affordability program. That program would allow low-income families to break out of the cycle in which they currently lose service far too often and live without service for far too long. We've worked on this legislation with the Councilwoman's office for the last 17 months. We've worked hand in hand with representatives of the administration to get to this point where truly we believe the City of Philadelphia can serve as a model for other cities encountering some of the similar problems with low-income families having difficulty affording their water bills and keeping service on for their own safety, for the safety and benefit of their neighbors and our entire community. I urge your strong support for this legislation and thank you for the opportunity today.
Thank you very much for your testimony, sir.
There are no other speakers on the public comment list, Mr. President.
Thank you very much, Mr. Decker. We will now move to our calendar. And I'd ask that you read Resolution 150866.
A resolution authorizing the Commissioner of Public Property to execute and deliver to the Philadelphia Redevelopment Authority without consideration deeds conveying conditional fees, simple titles of city-owned lots and pieces of ground with the buildings and improvements thereon situated in the 37th Ward of the City of Philadelphia.
Chair recognizes Councilman Greenlee.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the adoption of the resolution.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Ayes have it. Resolution 150866 is adopted. Mr. Decker, 150867.
A resolution approving the redevelopment contract of the Philadelphia Redevelopment Authority for the redevelopment and urban renewal of a portion of the model city's urban renewal area identified by house numbers and street addresses as 2014, 2016, 2018, 2020, 2022 through 26, 2028, 2029 through 35, and 2030 through 36 North 16th Street, and 1601 and 1603 through 05 Page Street.
Thank you. Chair again recognizes Councilman Greenlee.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the adoption of the resolution.
Been moved and properly second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Ayes have it. And Resolution 150867 is adopted. 150-869.
A resolution approving the redevelopment contract of the Philadelphia Redevelopment Authority for the redevelopment and urban renewal of a portion of the New Kensington Fishtown urban renewal area identified by house number and street address as 8 East Palmer Street.
Chair recognizes Councilwoman Keona Sanchez.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for the adoption.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor? Those opposed? Ayes have it. And Resolution 150-869 is adopted. Mr. Decker, 150-874.
A resolution approving the redevelopment contract of the Philadelphia Redevelopment Authority for the redevelopment and urban renewal of a portion of the New Kensington Fishtown urban renewal area identified by house number and street address as 2425 East Firth Street.
Chair recognizes Councilman Squilla.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for the adoption of the resolution.
Second.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor? Those opposed? Ayes have it. 150-874 is adopted. Mr. Decker, 150-877.
A resolution urging the United States Congress to pass Every Child Deserves a Family Act and recognizing November 21, 2015 as National Adoption Day in the city of Philadelphia.
Chair recognizes Councilwoman Bass.
Mr. President, I move for the adoption of the resolution.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor? Those opposed? Ayes have it. 150-877 is adopted. Mr. Decker, 140-607 AA.
An ordinance amending Title 19 of the Philadelphia Code entitled Finance, Taxes, and Collections, Chapter 1600 entitled Water and Sewer Rents by providing for installment payment agreements.
This bill has been heard on 2 separate days. The question is, shall the bill pass finally? Mr. Decker, call the roll.
Councilwoman Bass, Councilwoman Blackwell, Councilman Good, Councilman Greenlee, Councilman Heenan, Councilman Johnson, Councilman Jones, Councilman O'Brien, Councilman O'Neill, Councilman O, Councilwoman Cornelius Sanchez, Councilwoman Reynolds Brown, Councilman Squilla, Councilwoman Tasco, Council President Clark.
Aye, the ayes are 15 and nays are 0. Majority of members present voting in the affirmative, the bill passes. Mr. Decker, 150-502A.
An ordinance amending Title 14 of the Philadelphia Code entitled Zoning and Planning by providing for balconies and revising the requirements for roof decks.
Chair recognizes Councilman Squilla.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for the amendment of this bill. A copy of the amendment has been circulated amongst council.
Second.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Ayes have it. And bill number 150-502A has been amended and will be placed on our second reading and final passage calendar at our next session of council. Mr. Decker, 150-348.
An ordinance establishing a neighborhood improvement district to be known as the Mayfair Business Improvement District in an area that generally includes both sides of Frankfurt Avenue, from the north side of Harbison Avenue to the south side of Sheffield Street, and certain blocks of streets that intersect that portion of Frankfurt Avenue, designating a Mayfair Business Improvement District, a Pennsylvania nonprofit corporation, as the Neighborhood Improvement District Management Association for the district.
This bill has been heard on 2 separate days. The question is, shall the bill pass finally? Mr. Decker, call the roll.
Councilwoman Bass, Councilwoman Blackwell, Councilman Good, Councilman Greenlee, Councilman Heenan, Councilman Johnson, Councilman Jones, Councilman O'Brien, Councilman O'Neill, Councilman O, Councilwoman Cornelius Sanchez, Councilwoman Reynolds Brown, Councilman Squilla, Councilwoman Tasco, Council President Clark.
Aye. Ayes are 15 and nays are 0. Majority of members present voting in the affirmative, the bill passes. Mr. Decker, 150-573.
An ordinance providing for the submission to the qualified electors of the City of Philadelphia of an amendment to the Philadelphia Home Rule Charter, establishing and defining the responsibilities of an independent commission on African American males.
Chair recognizes Councilman Jones. Thank you, Mr. President. I would like to offer an amendment to Bill number 150-573. A copy of that amendment has been circulated to all members of council, and I move for the adoption of that amendment.
Second.
Thank you. It has been moved and seconded. All those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Ayes have it. Bill number 150-573 has been amended. It will be placed on our second and final reading passage calendar at our next session of council. Mr. Decker, 150-653.
An ordinance authorizing transfers and appropriations for fiscal year 2016 from the Grants Revenue Fund to the Housing Trust Fund to expand the availability of the services provided through the Energy Fit Philly program, whereby affordable housing is preserved through the coordination of home repair and energy services.
This bill has been heard on 2 separate days. The question is, shall the bill pass finally? Mr. Decker, call the roll.
Councilwoman Bass, Councilwoman Blackwell, Councilman Good, Councilman Greenlee, Councilman Heenan, Councilman Johnson, Councilman Jones, Councilman O'Brien, Councilman O'Neill. Councilman O. Councilwoman Conan Sanchez. Councilwoman Reynolds Brown. Councilman Squilla. Councilwoman Tasco. Council President Clark.
Aye, the ayes are 15 and nays are 0. Majority of members present voting in the affirmative, the bill passes. Mr. Decker, 150790.
An ordinance amending Bill Number 150162A, entitled An Ordinance to Adopt a Capital Program for the 6 fiscal years 2016 through 2021 inclusive, as amended by Bill Number 150611, by adding and revising certain projects, amounts, and sources.
This bill has been heard on 2 separate days. The question is, shall the bill pass finally? Mr. Decker, call the roll.
Councilwoman Bass. Councilwoman Blackwell. Councilman Good. Councilman Greenlee. Councilman Heenan. Councilman Johnson. Councilman Jones. Councilman O'Brien. Councilman O'Neill. Councilman O. Councilwoman Conan Sanchez. Councilwoman Reynolds Brown. Councilman Squilla. Councilwoman Tasco. Council President Clark.
Aye, the ayes are 15 and nays are 0. Majority of members present voting in the affirmative, the bill passes. Mr. Decker, 150720.
An ordinance amending Title 22 of the Philadelphia Code entitled Public Employees Retirement Code to expand the scope of Plan 10 and DC Plan to cover additional employees, including employees represented by AFS CME District Council 33 who work for the Office of Housing and Community Development.
This bill has been heard on 2 separate days. The question is, shall the bill pass finally? Mr. Decker, call the roll.
Councilwoman Bass. Councilwoman Blackwell. Councilman Good. Councilman Greenlee. Councilman Heenan. Councilman Johnson. Councilman Jones. Councilman O'Brien. Councilman O'Neill. Councilman O. Councilwoman Conan Sanchez. Councilwoman Reynolds Brown. Councilman Squilla. Councilwoman Tasco. Council President Clark.
Aye, the ayes are 15 and nays are 0. Majority of members present voting in the affirmative, the bill passes. Mr. Decker, do you have any additional resolutions?
A resolution honoring Pat Gillespie on his retirement from the Philadelphia Building and Construction Trades Council, introduced by Councilman Heenan.
Chair recognizes Councilman Heenan.
Thank you, Council President. Also co-introduced with Councilman Squilla, and I move for the adoption of the resolution.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Ayes have it, and that resolution is adopted.
And a resolution honoring Commissioner Louis Giola of the Philadelphia prison system for 34 years of service to the city of Philadelphia, introduced by Councilman Heenan.
Chair again recognizes Councilman Heenan.
Thank you, Council President. Again, co-introduced with Councilman Jones and Councilman O'Brien, and I move for the adoption of the resolution.
Second.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor? Those opposed? Ayes have it, and that resolution is adopted.
And a resolution honoring, recognizing, and celebrating the 50th anniversary of Community College of Philadelphia, introduced by Councilwoman Quinones Sanchez on behalf of Council President Clark.
Chair recognizes Councilwoman Quinones Sanchez.
Thank you. On your behalf, I move for its adoption.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor? Those opposed? Ayes have it, and that resolution is also adopted.
And a resolution designating August 17th as First Responder Appreciation Day in Philadelphia into perpetuity, introduced by Councilman O.
Chair recognizes Councilman O.
Thank you very much. I move for the adoption of the resolution.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Ayes have it, and that resolution is adopted.
And a resolution recognizing and commemorating December 5, 2015 as WordPress Day in Philadelphia, introduced by Councilman O.
Chair again recognizes Councilman O.
Thank you. I move for the adoption of the resolution.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Ayes have it, and that resolution is adopted.
And a resolution recognizing and congratulating Kazumi Teun for her dedication and contributions to strengthening the Japanese-American community in Philadelphia as Executive Director of the Japan-America Society of Greater Philadelphia for more than 15 years, introduced by Councilman O.
Chair recognizes Councilman O.
I move for the adoption of the resolution.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor? Those opposed? Ayes have it, and that resolution is adopted.
There are no other resolutions on the final passage calendar, Mr. President.
Thank you very much. That concludes our calendar for today. And are there any speeches on behalf of the minority? Chair recognizes Councilman O'Brien.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would like to again invite my colleagues in City Council to join me for the Special Olympics Freezing for a Reason on December 4th at noon at Drexel University. And I'd like to invite our friends in the media also to brave the elements. Put your cameras down and your phones and your laptops and join us for a very special event. Dozens of individuals will be joining us for Freezing for a Reason during the 2015 Polar Plunge. and they'll take a dip in the chilly waters of an above-ground pool at Drexel University. This is to raise money, as I said, for Special Olympics Pennsylvania athletes and build awareness of the programs offered through that program. There's also going to be a power lunch, and I know we all enjoy power lunches, and it's an opportunity to network with Philadelphia professionals and rally behind a crucial movement. You'll enjoy a hot lunch before plunging into a freezing cold pool. After your body is frozen from jumping into the pool, you will start to defreeze by changing back into your warm clothes in an on-site upscale locker room. By the time you get back to the office, an email will be waiting for you in your inbox with photos from your plunge. Plunging that's not the only thing. If you're too chicken to jump into the pool, you can join us for Plunge Day to watch other professionals brave the cold waters. But I invite everyone to please register online today so that all of your friends and supporters of Special Olympics can sponsor you. And I really encourage you to do this. It's an important first event for Special Olympics, and we hope it continues well into the future. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilman. Chair recognizes Councilman Jones.
Thank you, Mr. President. Today, we are all French. In the wake of such an atrocity, how do we respond as human beings? As Jewish Americans, as Christian Americans, as Muslim Americans, and I am a Muslim American, believe in these words from my holy book. O ye who believe, stand out firmly for God as a witness to fair dealings, and not let hatred of others make you swerve to the wrong and depart from justice. Be just. That is next to piety, and that shows fear of God, for God will be acquainted of all that you do. This is an excerpt that condemns the reactionary actions of groups like Boko Haram and ISIS. This is not just an attack on Paris, Mr. President. This is an attack on our collective humanity. We as Americans have a long-standing tradition of standing up for justice and fighting against all tyranny. Paris is a symbol of love and brotherhood and of light. A light to the rest of the world now turns to Paris. Its art, its love, its food, its passion, its vibrancy. We are all French. These are characteristics that we cannot let go asunder based on these actions. When tested by these terrorist attacks, we must stay true to our core values here as a city, here as a state, and here as a nation. Freedom, equality, and the right to pursue happiness. We cannot allow ourselves to succumb to the attackers by abandoning these principles. They want division among us. These attackers' purpose is to sow fear, division, and convince us that we cannot trust our neighbors. They aim to destroy our common humanity. We cannot allow these violent extremists to dictate the terms in which we live. By standing up for our neighbors, we refute these perpetrators' assumption that violence will necessarily beget more violence. These times of crisis, people of goodwill must stand together in solidarity. We must not become victims of the backlash. Those who are in France that happen to be Muslims also are going to get that backlash. We must stand together, good people of good purpose of all religions. I stand with President Barack Obama. I stand with Governor Tom Wolf in their efforts to recognize and support the needs of refugees of all faiths. As Philadelphians, this city was founded on religious tolerance. We must follow our traditions of William Penn as a proponent of religious tolerance and compassion. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilman. Chair recognizes Councilwoman Kiona Sanchez.
Thank you, Mr. President. As we close out this year and we close out this term, I'm very grateful for the work that we do here in City Council and how deliberate we are in helping the poor, and particularly the working poor. This historic water bill that we passed this morning is hugely important. I want to thank Jennifer Cates, our social justice advocates, particularly Community Legal Services, and the administration. Some of us feel that water is a right and that everyone should have access to it. In this council, we've supported many pieces of legislation, property tax reform, we've protected the poor through LOOP and Homestead, and we will continue in the next 4 years to figure out how we protect the most vulnerable in the city of Philadelphia. We don't want to be New York City in this regard, where it's about the super rich and no one else. The Pew study shows us that people who are doing well in Philadelphia feel really good about the city of Philadelphia. I love my city, but there are a lot of people in the city of Philadelphia that continue to struggle. And that's why this morning, as I stood by the airport workers with many of my colleagues, I am reminded that we still have a lot more work to do. The SEIU and members of the workers at the airport joined a national strike because we have major corporations in this country who, regardless of what we legislate, think that they can pay poverty wages in an international city like Philadelphia. And that's why I'm so proud of the work that we do here. And that's why sometimes when we move forward, I feel like we move back. And that's why I'm concerned, and I joined the call of Mayor-elect Jim Kenney and asking Mayor Nutter to stop the rollback on the sanctuary city for the city of Philadelphia. I believe, like everyone else, that there should be no one who is not detained, who is a child abuser, or a terrorist, or anyone. But we've done so much work in gaining the confidence of our advocates and working with our police department to provide the most comprehensive public safety so that everyone feels welcomed. I don't know why, when he's wrapping up in the last few weeks, he feels a need to do this. It really sets us back. And so I join Mayor Kenney in asking the mayor to stop. Let's look. Let's have the discussions and be as thoughtful and deliberate as we've been in this council and ensuring that the goal of protecting everyone is not at the sacrifice of others. Again, I thank my council colleagues for their continuing support in the work that we do, and I look forward to a very productive discussion as we finish the Comcast franchise agreement and look at helping our schools and our most vulnerable community. And I especially look forward to the next 4 years. The Think Fest a few weeks ago, folks talked about the fear of, will people be pushed out of their neighborhoods? How do we protect the most vulnerable? I believe in my city. I believe in the local talent that we have here, and I think we can get it right. I think poor people and millennials and others can live and thrive in the city of Philadelphia, not one at the expense of the other, but all of us could be lifted. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Chair recognizes Councilman Johnson.
Thank you, Council President. I want to briefly echo some of the sentiments of my colleague, Councilwoman Sanchez. And as we review the Pew Charitable Trust report, it also shows that the rich keep getting richer and the poor keeps getting poorer. And based upon your economic circumstances will determine your attitude and how you feel about the city of Philadelphia. And so I want to thank all my colleagues for helping me pass a very important piece of legislation for our citizens who are most in need. Today, in partnership with your office, Council President, we have increased the funding for the Housing Trust Fund by $2 million. Between 2016 and 2020, the city of Philadelphia will collect approximately $60 million in real estate taxes from properties with tax abatements that have expired. The additional net revenue collected by 2025 will reach approximately $300 million in the general fund alone. Going forward, we must commit a portion of the city's share of this revenue to programs that help low-income families stay in their homes. The 10-year tax abatement has brought forth the largest real estate boom in decades, so it is only fair that we use a portion of the revenue created by this wave of development to maintain a level of affordability. This important legislation designates $2 million in increased funding to Energy Fit Philly, a program that aims to preserve affordable housing through the coordination of home repair and energy services in neighborhoods with a high percentage of homes in poor conditions. I want to thank my colleagues for voting on this bill, and this is just the beginning. I want to also invite my colleagues at 12:30 for a reception that we will be hosting for the WBC Continental Champion by the name of Hammering Hank Lundy. It will be in a caucus room, and so I invite all of you to come out as we honor him with a presentation and a small reception for his hard work and his hard work. But most importantly, this young man does a lot of outreach with young people, being a role model inside our neighborhoods, and so we thought it's only fitting to encourage him to keep going further and beyond. Thank you very much, Council President.
Thank you, Councilman. Seeing you from your district.
Indeed, Hills from the great part of South Philadelphia.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Chair recognizes Councilman O'Brien.
Thank you, Mr. President. I was just reflecting on the words of the Majority Leader Curtis Jones and Maria Quiona Sanchez, and a couple things came to mind. I recently read about Commissioner Bratton of the NYPD, who said, "Fear is the oxygen of terrorism." And as we look for clarity and explanations for these events that are taking place across the globe, there is no explanation, there is no rationalization, but I think we look to maybe the words of some genuine leaders in the past. And I would just like to share those words, and we could reflect on them and reserve our own judgments. But when you teach a man to hate and fear his brother, when you teach that he is a lesser man because of his color or his beliefs or the policies he pursues, when you teach that those who differ from you threaten your freedom or your job or your family, then you also learn to confront others not as your fellow citizens, but as enemies. We must admit the vanity of our false distinctions among men and learn to find our own advancement in the search for the advancement of all. We must admit in ourselves that our own children's future cannot be built on the misfortunes of others. We must recognize that this short life can neither be ennobled nor enriched by hatred or revenge. They are the words of Robert F. Kennedy. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilman. There appears to be no additional speeches, and the chair now recognizes Councilwoman Reynolds Brown for a motion to adjourn.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that council stand adjourned until Thursday, December 3rd, 2015 at 10 a.m.
Thank you. It's been moved and properly second that the council stand adjourned until Thursday, December 3rd, 2015 at 10 a.m. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, the ayes have it. Thank you all very much.